Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join me as we explore Southwest's lost historical characters, stunning desert vistas, forgotten Native American history, or tales of lost gold mines. There's always something new to discover. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome to Southwest Desert, where today we're diving deep into one of the most compelling and well-documented lost treasure stories ever to emerge from Arizona's rugged borderlands. Unlike many tales of lost riches that turn out to be nothing more than campfire fantasies, this story of the Chiricahua Mountains treasure isn't just another old-timer spinning yarns. This is a tale of authentic, twice-stolen plunder from Old Mexico, a fortune that carved a bloody path across hundreds of miles of empty deserts and barren mountains. Before we delve into this remarkable story, let's talk about what we're actually looking for. Thanks to a dying bandit's confession, we have a detailed inventory of this magnificent treasure. Picture this: a simple cigar box, but one filled with diamonds worth $1 million, stolen from a bank vault in Monterrey, Mexico. Alongside it, 39 bars of gold bullion valued at $600,000 and scores of silver ingots cast in Mexico. There were 90,000 Mexican gold dollars and countless sacks of gold and silver coins. But perhaps most intriguing and hardest to believe were two life-size statues of pure gold, one depicting the Savior and the other the Virgin Mary, both allegedly taken from the sanctuary niches of a great Mexican cathedral. Our story begins in 1881, in a place that time has almost completely erased, Galeyville, situated along East Turkey Creek in the heart of the Chiricahua Mountains of Arizona. If you visited the site today, you'd find nothing but peaceful, white-faced Hereford cattle grazing in lush summer grass. But in 1881, Galeyville was anything but peaceful. It served as the notorious hangout for Tombstone's most dangerous outlaws, and probably never before or since has such a deadly collection of humanity gathered in one place. Picture the scene: hold-up men, gunfighters, rustlers, crooked gamblers, and cutthroats, all gathered in this remote mountain town. But even among this rogues gallery, two men stood out as the unofficial rulers of this robber's roost: Curly Bill Brocius and his lieutenant, the darkly handsome John Ringo. While Curly Bill's primary business was cattle rustling, commanding a private army of somewhere between 40 to 100 bully boys, he had numerous creative ways of acquiring wealth without honest work. His favorite method: waylaying Mexican smugglers en route to Tucson. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another lost treasure story. If you would like to help support my channel and time, hit the super thanks heart icon on the bottom of the video and contribute. This is very helpful. Relax and enjoy. In July of 1881, Curly Bill and his gang had already pulled off their biggest heist yet: a bloody ambush at a place called Devil's Kitchen in Skeleton Canyon, near the New Mexico line. They walked away with $75,000 in silver, taken from the dead bodies of slaughtered mules and hapless Mexicans. In a display of typical outlaw excess, they managed to spend every cent of it in just 4 weeks, drinking and gambling in Galeyville's saloons. But fate was about to present an even greater opportunity. Word filtered across the border through Curly Bill's intelligence network that another group of Mexican smugglers was planning to move a cargo far more valuable than anything they'd handled before. Curly Bill's eyes must have gleamed at the news, and he immediately dispatched his trusted man, Jim Hughes, to Sonora to gather more information. Hughes was the perfect man for the job. Half Mexican himself, he spoke Spanish like a native and played his part brilliantly. He ingratiated himself with the locals by condemning everything gringo, from the Constitution to Curly Bill himself. The Mexicans, impressed by his apparent sympathy for their cause, welcomed him with open arms and flowing tequila. In their cups they revealed their plans. They would follow almost the exact same route as the previous unfortunate group, right through Skeleton Canyon and the San Simon Valley in August. Bursting with this golden information, Hughes rushed back to Galeyville to report to Curly Bill. But here's where fate threw its first curveball. Curly Bill was nowhere to be found, and nobody knew when he'd return. With time running out, Hughes made a fateful decision that would set in motion a chain of betrayals. He decided to double-cross his own boss and do the job himself. Hughes quickly assembled his team. He recruited Zwing Hunt, a mule skinner with ambitions of greater things, and Billy Grounds, a fresh-faced 19-year-old eager to make his mark in the outlaw world. 5 other prominent citizens of Galeyville rounded out the crew. After swearing them all to secrecy, they rode out one starry August night, heading southeast across San Simon Valley toward Skeleton Canyon. The next morning, their prey arrived, 15 Mexican smugglers with twice as many mules, carrying what might have been the richest cargo ever to cross the international line. The smugglers weren't foolish. They'd learned from the fate of their predecessors. Their black eyes constantly scanned the cliffs as they passed through the Devil's Kitchen, their guns cocked and ready. But nature conspired against them. Everything seemed peaceful. Birds sang, the stream rippled in the sun, and a light breeze whispered through the treetops. Near the canyon's entrance, the smugglers decided to stop for a meal of tortillas and frioles, planning a short siesta before tackling the long, hot trek through San Simon Valley. They posted guards up and down the canyon, then stretched out comfortably on the grass beneath a big oak tree. The peaceful scene exploded into chaos. Rifle fire erupted from the rocky walls above, and the quiet canyon transformed into a chamber of echoing death. 3 Mexicans died instantly. Panic seized the survivors, and the camp erupted into a wildly confused scramble of shouting, running men, rearing horses, and stampeding mules. The surviving smugglers leaped onto their ponies and galloped down the canyon, bullets whistling after them. 3 more fell as they fled. The heavily laden mules, terrified by the gunfire, scattered in all directions. The bandits pursued them relentlessly, determined not to let a single animal escape with its valuable cargo. Some say 1 mule got away, but if it did, its fate remains a mystery lost to time. During the firefight, fate struck again. Zwing Hunt took a smuggler's bullet. Young Billy Grounds bound the wound with his own undershirt, but this injury would later prove crucial to our story. When they rejoined their companions, the bandits faced an unexpected problem: what to do with their massive haul. Dead mules lay scattered throughout the canyon and far into the valley. Without pack animals or wagons, they couldn't move their prize. The bandits decided to temporarily cache the treasure at the canyon's mouth. 2 men began digging a hole beneath 3 oak trees while their companions rifled through the dead mules' aparejos, laboriously carrying the bars of gold and silver and sacks of coins to the hiding place. It is not clear where they found picks and shovels or how 2 men managed to dig a hole several yards long and 7 feet deep in just one afternoon. But what we do know is that for many years afterward, gold and silver coins and the bleaching bones of men and mules lined the canyon from its entrance to the Devil's Kitchen. Cowboys from neighboring ranches would later find human skulls, using them for soap dishes and ashtrays. A grim reminder of that bloody day. Jim Hughes, having orchestrated the raid without Curly Bill's knowledge, had to return to Galeyville and pretend nothing had happened. He entrusted the task of moving the treasure to Zwing Hunt and Billy Grounds. Several days later, they completed this task using a 4-horse wagon driven by a Mexican teamster. After burying the treasure in a remote location, they ensured their secret would be kept. They killed the teamster, shot the horses, and burned the wagon as a makeshift funeral pyre. Hughes waited in Galeyville for their report, but it never came. Just days later, Hunt and Grounds had a fatal encounter with other outlaws at the Stockton Ranch. Young Billy Grounds' promising career in banditry ended in a flash, while Hunt was badly wounded and taken to the Tombstone Hospital. When Hughes came to visit, Hunt escaped through a rear window, demonstrating that those who live by double-cross often fall victim to it themselves. For a time, everyone believed Hunt had been killed by Apaches. There was even a fresh grave to prove it. But this too was a deception, likely meant to throw Jim Hughes off the trail. Months later, Hunt appeared very much alive in his hometown of San Antonio, Texas. However, his wound had developed gangrene, and the doctors gave him a death sentence. In his final hours, he called his uncle to his bedside and revealed the whole story, even drawing a map to the treasure's location. According to Hunt's deathbed revelation, the treasure lies at the foot of Davis Mountain, from whose summit you can see into New Mexico. A canyon curves 1.5 miles to the west, hemmed in by wooded hills on one side and a sheer rock precipice on the other. Through this canyon flows a stream that cascades over a ledge in a 10-foot waterfall, the same waterfall where Hunt and Grounds bathed after burying their ill-gotten gains. He described 2 springs about 1.25 miles apart, Silver Spring and Gum Spring, and marked the treasure's location with precise instructions. Between the springs, but slightly closer to Silver Spring, stands a square-sided stone, 3 feet high and 1 foot thick. On its east face, Hunt chiseled 2 crosses, one above the other. 20 paces east of that stone, he said, lies the buried treasure of the Chiricahuas. But here's the cruel twist that has frustrated treasure hunters for over 70 years. Hunt never revealed where Davis Mountain was. He'd named it himself, after a friend he and Grounds had buried nearby. In the vast expanse of the Southwest, there are at least 200 mountains from which you can see into New Mexico, dozens of curving canyons, and countless springs roughly 1 mile apart. The search began immediately. Hunt's uncle was the first to try. His brother spent 30 years combing the hills without success. Bill Sanders, who owned a ranch on West Turkey Creek, believed Hunt had confused the names and actually meant Harris Mountain, about 6 miles northwest of Portal. The location seems to fit many of Hunt's descriptions. You can see into New Mexico from its summit, there's a grave at its foot, and East Turkey Creek Canyon curves nearby. Even a burned wagon was found in the vicinity. But there are problems with this theory. The grave contains the remains of a man named Harris, his wife and child, all killed by Apaches, not Hunt's friend Davis. There's no ledge in the canyon to create a 10-foot waterfall, and no one has found either Silver Spring or Gum Spring, let alone the marked stone. Yet the search continues to this day. Year after year, hundreds of tons of Arizona soil are turned over by hopeful treasure hunters, each believing they'll be the one to finally uncover the lost treasure of the Chiricahuas. Somewhere out there, beneath the southwestern sun, a fortune in gold, silver, and diamonds still waits to be found, if you can solve the mystery that Zwing Hunt took to his grave. Thank you for joining the Southwest Desert. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of our past. Happy trails. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.